Thank you for joining us. I'm John Razimus, and this is the Occult Unmasked. Now, the occult is a very generic, wide range of many things. The word occult is hidden in Latin, and hidden things could be anything hidden, but specifically it obviously refers to a subject which many would call secret, forbidden, doctrine, but there's a lot of harmless things that would be considered occult. For example, a ghost book. I mean, some occult subjects, ghosts, for example. Ghosts are invisible to, I would say, 99% of the population of Earth, probably more than that. And where they go, if they exist, I personally believe ghosts exist. I personally believe spirits exist. I've had personal experiences, and I'll talk about those in future episodes. And I am a big collector of books, reader of books, and reseller of books. And the occult genre specifically is a good investment for resale, whether you believe in it or not. Now, I personally do not believe in many occult subjects. For example, astrology, numerology. I don't believe in it. I don't believe if you're born when the planet Mars is there, it means anything. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Some people will disagree, but I think that's personally just the ancients' perspective on what was the introduction of the sciences of astronomy in ancient times, misunderstood with a lot of mythological beliefs. And there's a book I recently read called Sorcery and Religion in Ancient Scandinavia. It's by Varg Vikernes. I can't pronounce his name probably. He's a death metal rocker, and I thought he might believe in this stuff. And I've been watching the Vikings show. The Vikings season finale happened, and I happen to be related to Ragnar Lodbrok Sigurdsson. He's my 39th great-grandfather. His son, Sigurd Snake in the Eye Ragnarsson, is my 38th great-grandfather. And so I'm really big into this book, but talking about Sigurd Snake in the Eye real quick, the eye in Sigurd Snake in the Eye's eye was a snake biting its tail, which is one of the most famous occult symbols in the world. And that specific thing in his eye, of a snake in his eye, was supposedly prophesied and foretold. And I'm related to that guy, so maybe it runs in the family, but I thought this death rocker would be someone that would believe in sorcery of ancient Scandinavia, but he doesn't. He's an atheist. So this book comes off. I read the whole thing real quick. He talks about how people used to believe in it and how he even grew up around people who believed in it. For example, one of the mythologies was if you kill a snail or you kill a frog, it will rain. And that was one of the mythologies he grew up with. That's apparently an ancient Norse belief. It's probably going to rain if you see a frog and you see a snail anyway, because frogs and snails usually don't come out unless it's pretty rainy season, rainy weather. So Montauk Project's second book goes into the occult, and the third one really goes in the occult. It even says go beyond the occult. This is sick, twisted, crazy stuff. Peter Moon, the co-author, is obviously a huge fan of Aleister Crowley. I'm not. I watched a documentary about Crowley, and in that documentary it said he killed a goat while molesting it. Now that's sick and twisted. That's not someone to look up to, in my opinion. I don't care if he claims he's doing it for religious or magical purposes. That's sick and that's twisted. Just to let you know, I'm on the good side. I do not practice any of the things I read about in these occult books, unless it's mind over matter. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's one of my favorite books. It's not considered occult. It's in the self-help category. It's in the get rich mindset category. But after reading many occult books and reading this book many times, there are very many occult related things in this book. I'll give you an example. There's a book I recently read called Seven Spheres by Rufus Opus. Now, Rufus Opus is obviously his magical name, not his real name. In the occult world, there are a lot of people that use pen names. I mean, I use a pen name, John Razimus. My real name is John Houston. But this guy claims if you summon entities, and he gives details. He's big into astrology, though. If you summon this entity on this time of the week, this time of the month, this time of the year, yada, 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 it'll help you out. The spirit of Jupiter will help you out. And yada, yada, yada. First of all, I don't believe in astrology. Second of all, I do believe this could psych you out and you're doing it yourself. Or you could contact some negative entity and mess up your life. I personally believe negative entities do exist. I personally believe positive entities exist. Invisible ones. I'm not crazy. I just believe in higher dimensions and higher planes of existence that cannot be seen by the human eye. But this book, you don't need to summon entities to help you out and make you successful. You simply follow some common strategies. You get a calendar, you write down some goals. You get a piece of paper, you write down some goals, you write down what you're willing to do, and you have a daily affirmation. I'm willing to do this. And you just condition your own mind. It's called autosuggestion. You just suggest to your own subconscious that I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it works. This book works. I've never made millions because I've never set that goal. I've never been willing to dedicate my entire life to make $1 million. Not yet, anyway. But I collect a lot of books. I read them, and then I resell them, or I buy them and I just resell them. Here's a book called The Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage by MacGregor Mathers. He's a famous occultist. I am not an occultist. I have read some of this book, but I would never practice the summoning of the spirits. See, there's a difference between an occultist and someone that just reads it for the information. What you do not know can hurt you. What you do know can help you. Information is neutral, and reading these occult books is neutral. What you do with that information, if you start practicing it, that's a different ballgame. When crazy things starts happening to you, in the occult world, it's called going down the rabbit hole. A reference, obviously, to Alice in Wonderland, who follows the white rabbit, like in the Matrix movie, where Neo follows the girl with the white rabbit tattoo. He ends up in Wonderland. And this book, for example, taught me that these aren't crossword puzzles. These are magic squares. And you use these magic squares, like the one on the front of the book, to summon demons. No thanks. I'm not going to be summoning any demons willingly, knowingly, and purposefully anytime soon. Never have, never will. Now I know how to avoid this subject because I know about it. Also, that book is pretty valuable. This book recently sold for like $200 on a particular auction site. Mythology. Even mythology has many occult subjects. What is occult for one generation will be a mythology for the next. A lot of Eastern religious mysticism and religions, ancient religions, are considered occult to the Western world. It's only occult because we don't know anything about it. It's not considered occult to the Chinese. Not this book, anyway. Tong Sing. It talks about astrology. It talks about a lot of things. Even feng shui is considered sort of occult because it's mystical, mysterious, and I think, could have some truth to it. I'm not sure. I've never practiced it. So I recently read this book, Taoism, The Road to Immortality. This book really reminded me of Dragon Ball Z, reminded me of Kill Bill Volume 2, the part with that master that does this to his beard, because there's a guy in an ancient Taoist story that does that to his beard. So it's obviously a reference to an ancient Chinese story. of a supposed immortal. The immortals referenced in this book, none of them were proven to live longer than 130, 40, 50. Now, obviously, there's no proof, but the guy who wrote this book, John Blofeld, says they leave this world to become immortal in the next world. And so that's their belief. And they believe they use alchemy, elixirs, lead to gold. Speaking of lead to gold, the Rosicrucians believed in lead to gold. Some of them believed it was spiritual. Some of them believed it was physical and actually real, because to get to certain levels in the Rosicrucians, we're talking in ancient times. These guys started around 1400s, 1500s. The original ones were supposedly a myth, but real secret societies grew up whether that was a myth or not. And some of them required a lot of gold, but to rise in the ranks. Long story short, there's an episode in this book which claims a lot of men brought some anonymous ingredients, put it on a rose petal with some zinc, and it turned into gold. But as any physicist knows, gold can only be created in the center of a sun. So good luck creating some gold. We might be able to in the future have some insane technology to be able to create gold, but not anytime soon. I don't believe that. So, I wanted to know what was on the back of the dollar bill, why that thing was there, that pyramid with the eye. And this is weak sauce. This is weak sauce. This is weak nothing. This is the guy in this book is like, I don't know, they put it in there in previous dollar bills. There's a previous dollar bill, which is from 1778, and it has what looks like a Mayan pyramid. I don't know if you can see that. And it looks very similar to the modern one, except this one has an eye on top of it. It doesn't look Mayan anymore. But there's a lot of cool books I collect and resell. Prometheus the Awakener. An essay on the archetypical meaning of the planet Uranus. Haven't read it, don't plan on it. It's probably astrological based, and I don't believe in astrology. I have a numerology book. I don't believe in numerology. But I bought it at Goodwill. So I bought this book, The Mythic Tarot, for 25 cents at a Christian thrift store. And I just bought it because I thought I could sell it for $10. It's a pretty good profit. And I collect occult books. I read them. I buy some of them, and I don't read them at all. But the ones that I do read, I haven't read this one. I'm not interested in tarot. I don't believe in practicing tarot. I don't practice any occult arts. I don't practice any magic arts, except for illusion, when I was into Chris Angel a couple years ago. But as far as how tarot works, I can tell you this. I watched a video by the Vigilant Christian who said he used to be a tarot dealer. And I watched the Vigilant Christian's channel because I'm interested in his occult history of how he used to be a guy that talked with angels / demons / read people's futures with tarot cards. And he claims when he was dealing out the cards to read someone's future that a demon was talking in his ear, giving him the information about that person, that it had nothing to do with the cards. It was all the demon giving the inside info, and he probably thought it was a spirit guide or something, but when he became a Christian, he claimed it was a demon. And I don't doubt the possibility. I do believe personally that good exists, that evil exists, and I'd say if you don't believe in good and evil, that's your choice. But I think it's pretty plain and clear and simple that good exists, evil exists, and I personally believe higher dimensions exist. And in those higher dimensions, I personally believe that invisible entities from our perspective live in those higher dimensions, but from their perspective, they're not invisible, obviously. And I picked this book up, The Black Arts. I haven't read it yet, but it looks like it's pretty all-encompassing. It looks like it shows a lot of information. Okay, like for example, the Triangle of Solomon. I learned about this when I was just looking at a Wikipedia page for the Key of Solomon, the Lesser Key of Solomon, and the Greater Key of Solomon. It's an ancient grimoire that came about in medieval times, there's no proof that it is what it claims to be. There's no proof it came from King Solomon. The general consensus among historians is the Lesser Key of Solomon is a forgery, a hoax, who attributed Solomon's name to it to get it to be spread and published. And whether there's true information in there is unknown, but obviously it's not related to the actual King Solomon. Although historically a lot of people accept it as King Solomon's information. In it, it claims King Solomon used a magic ring given to him by an angel to control demons to build the temple. Now, I seriously doubt that's the case. Based on that alone, I would say it sounds to me like it might have been written by someone to discredit any religion associated with King Solomon, because last I checked, the God of the Old or New Testament doesn't use demons to build things. That's pretty evil from the perspective of our modern world, but I still think that's pretty messed up. You know, I bought a lot of books. Cotton Mather's on witchcraft. Haven't read that one yet. And we got The Truth About Spiritism and Hypnotism. We have Mysticism in Action. Making the Gods Work for You. No thanks. But I will read it and resell it. So basically I collect occult books now. I have a website called pyramidical.com. And I sell occult books. And if you're very impressionable, I don't recommend that you buy, sell, and collect occult books. But you got to understand, my perspective is I buy these books so I can know history, know the true history of all these mythologies, of all these religions, of sorcery. I've never practiced sorcery. I'm not a sorcerer. I'm not an occultist. I simply read these occult books for the information, and I disregard a lot of the information. And I can learn and use some of the information to protect myself, or at least know that there are people out there that claim they can summon demons with what looks like a crossword puzzle. That's a little crazy. I've never done it, nor do I want to. I have no intention of doing it, but I do have the intention of researching it and telling you all about it. And so this is the first episode of the Occult Unmasked. I have some personal experiences with invisible entities that I'll mention in future episodes, but I don't want to go into detail here. I'm not crazy. I'm someone that just likes to collect books and read books, and I think the occult is a very interesting aspect. There are some magical institutions, such as the Golden Dawn, and they claim that they are right-hand pathers that follow the good right-hand path. Yet one of the standard reading texts at that place is this grimoire, which talks about summoning demons. And if they just read it for the information, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But if they actually perform the rituals in this book and actually summon demons, that's left-hand path. That's negative stuff. Now, I don't believe you can summon a demon and trick it. I don't think you can summon a demon and do good things with it, force it to do something good. And people will say the word demon is a modern variation of the word daemon, and daemons are not evil, they're just spirits, neutral. But I think there is an unwritten rule, an unwritten law concerning spirits. I'll talk about that in a future episode, but I don't think they can appear unless they have an agenda and can get something out of it. I am 100% on the good side, not an occultist. I want to expose the occultists, expose these secret societies, expose their secret orders. And I read things for informational purposes. I don't believe in everything I read. I read between the lines. I read things to protect myself against people that do some of these crazy things, but these are ancient beliefs that people have believed in for thousands of years. And I believe there's a grain of truth in a lot of these occult books, which I collect and sell on pyramidal.com. But I'm not here to plug the books. I'm here to, in future episodes, go into detail on all these books that I read, go into detail on these subjects I'm interested in. And I'm not impressionable like Johnny Depp's character in The Ninth Gate. That's a good movie. So thank you for watching. This is the first episode of The Occult Unmasked. I plan on making many episodes. I'm going to... See, I've read many books, and I can't do a single episode about a single book right now. I just want to introduce. But future episodes are going to be, I read this entire book. Here's an example of someone else who has done something. I thank you for watching the first episode. This has been John Razimus with The Occult Unmasked. Be seeing you.